Right now, about 500 miles above your head, there is a dead giant. It weighs 8 tons. It is the size of a double-decker bus. It cost nearly $3 billion to build, and for 10 years it watched the Earth, mapping our ice, our oceans, our air. Then, in 2012, without warning, it went silent. It did not fall. It did not burn up. It is still up there, tumbling end over end, circling the planet at 17,000 miles an hour. Dead, blind, unstoppable. Its name is Envisat, and nobody can move it. We like to think of space as empty, endless, a place so vast that nothing could ever fill it. But the thin shell of space just above our planet, the part we actually use, is not empty at all. It is getting crowded, and it is getting dangerous.
Sometime today, the Van Allen probe A is expected to plunge uncontrolled back to Earth, burning up as it re-enters our atmosphere, or at least most of it. NASA's warning some pieces could survive re-entry, landing somewhere along the satellite's ground track along the equator.
There are more than 25,000 objects up there large enough to track. Dead satellites, spent rocket stages, frozen chunks of metal from 60 years of launches. Most of them have no power, no steering, no way to get out of each other's path. 80% of the most dangerous ones were launched before the year 2000. Cold War machines left in orbit and forgotten. The working satellites, the ones you rely on, can dodge. Starlink, GPS, weather satellites, they carry thrusters. When something comes close, they move. The dead ones cannot. They just drift, 29,000 kilometers an hour on fixed paths that slowly, quietly cross. And every so often, two of them line up. In a single recent year, operators were sent 400,000 warnings. 400,000 moments where two objects came close enough to matter. So far, we have mostly been lucky. But luck is not a plan. And it has already run out once before.
A Russian military expert says the International Space Station could be in danger. The independent analyst says a massive cloud of debris could pose a slight risk to the International Space Station. The crash scattered fragments into space 300 to 800 miles above Earth.
February 2009, 500 miles over Siberia. A dead Russian military satellite, drifting with no power, crossed paths with a working American communications satellite. There was no warning in time, no way to stop it. They hit at nearly 26,000 miles an hour. It was the first time two whole satellites had ever collided in orbit. In an instant, both were destroyed. And where there had been two objects, there were now thousands. A cloud of shrapnel spreading out along the orbit, each fragment now its own bullet. Then it happened again. On purpose. In 2021, Russia fired a missile at one of its own dead satellites, just to prove it could. The satellite shattered into more than 1,500 trackable pieces. The debris spread so fast that the astronauts on the International Space Station were told to shelter in their escape capsules. This is the part that should worry you. Every collision does not just destroy, it multiplies. Two objects become thousands. And those thousands now fly through the same crowded space, faster than any bullet, waiting to hit something else. A scientist named Donald Kessler described this in 1978. He saw that if you put enough objects in orbit, you reach a tipping point. One collision creates debris. That debris causes the next collision, which creates more debris, which causes the next. a chain reaction, each crash feeding the one after it, running on its own faster than we could ever stop it. We call it Kessler Syndrome. Picture it. One dead satellite clips another. The fragments scatter and tear into a third. That breakup takes out a fourth, a tenth, a hundredth. Within hours, a single collision becomes a storm of metal racing around the planet. And it does not stop. Because in orbit, there is no friction to slow it down. No air to burn it up. Not for decades. Not for centuries. Now think about what lives in that same shell of space. The satellites that carry your phone calls, your internet, the GPS that guides every plane, every ship, every car with a map. The systems that warn us about hurricanes days before they arrive. All of it sits in the same orbits we are slowly filling with wreckage. If the chain reaction ever fully begins, we would not just lose satellites. We could lose the ability to launch new ones. Every rocket leaving Earth would have to climb through a shooting gallery of debris. We could, in the worst case, seal ourselves in. A planet wrapped in a cage of its own broken machines, unable to get out. Not for years, for generations. And here is the hardest part to accept. Right now, there is no proven way to clean it up. No vacuum for space. No fleet of machines that can haul the dead giants back down. We are still launching more than we remove every single year. The worst offenders are not even the collisions yet. It is the old satellites and rocket stages quietly exploding on their own, from leftover fuel and aging batteries, adding new debris while we watch. So Envisat is still up there, the 8-ton dead giant tumbling in the dark on a path it cannot change. It will not fall back to Earth on its own for about 150 years. Until then, it circles, silent, waiting. One wrong crossing away from becoming thousands. We always believed space was the one place too big to ruin. We were wrong. If this made you look up a little differently, share it. The most fragile part of space might be the part closest to home. Subscribe, and we will keep looking up together.